Hi everyone, this is Sarah Andries from Wisewood LLC, and I'm glad that you've joined me today. So this is my first video blog, vlog, and actually the reason I decided to do a video blog versus regular blogging, I'm going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. So today I'd like to share with you 5 lessons that I learned by writing my book. So the first lesson is that I'm not a very good writer. And that's not to say that my book is not a well-written book, but the process that I went through in order to write it really made me realize that my strength is not in writing. I wrote it, then I did 6 edits and 3 proofreads, and when it came out, I still found a typo in it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's got to drive some English major nuts that I had that many errors in just a small amount. So I can imagine every time I actually write a blog out, I'm making somebody cringe. So I thought, oh, I'll try a vlog and see if that goes any better for me. So that was the first lesson I learned. The second lesson I learned is you need to do the first one. And I've heard this over and over in many areas of my life, but the truth is that you have to do the first one. And I know there are about 6 or 7 people that I personally know of who are thinking about writing a book or in the process of writing a book, or they're working through it. And the truth is you just need to do the first one. No matter if you're wanting to write a book or create art or music, or you want to be a foster parent, whatever it is that you really want to do, you have to take that first step, because the first step gives you the foundation. And here's the truth, and this is a secret, and I have not shared it with anyone. My first book that I actually publicized was not the first book that I've written and published. The first book that I wrote and published, I actually took it down about 4 weeks after I published it, because I was getting a lot of feedback from people about the fact that I gave them nuts and bolts, but there was no stories or things that could help them connect to the how to do it information that I gave them. So that was my very first book, and I wrote that actually over a year ago. And then when I wrote my real book that's out right now, I actually changed a lot of the things that I did in the book to include stories and examples and to help people really connect with the content, because I really had a desire to help somebody. All right, the third lesson that I learned is it doesn't have to be perfect. And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel like their work has to be perfect before they put it out into the world. And I'll tell you what got me over that need for perfectionism. I watched a lot of videos this summer trying to get ready for just mentally prepared to write a book and put it out there into the world. And I know some people might think, well, that shouldn't be a big issue. You just do it. Well, there's a lot of mental work that you have to do to put something that's your blood, sweat, and tears out into the world and be comfortable with the feedback that you're going to get, whether it's good or bad. And I've been really lucky. I've had a lot of good feedback, but I also had some people point out my typos that were still in the book after all the editing. So the reason I got over this was I listened to a podcast, and the person who was talking shared, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, but it was really a powerful message. And he said, hey, if you knew you had a solution that could help somebody, and I truly believed I did, and I believe that you have some solution that you can use to help somebody also. So if you have experience in creating something, or you have an experience in life, and you don't share it, and you meet that person who you could have helped 10 years after they've struggled and slogged through the things that they're going through, and you look that person in the eye and you tell them that you had the solution all the time, that you had that experience and you could have gave it to them, but instead you waited for the product to become perfect, and they already had all the pain and suffering of trying to figure it out on their own. And I thought, I don't want to ever have to meet that person and look them in the eye and told them that I held off to be perfect instead of just putting it out there and trying to help them. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever you're working on, whatever you feel called to do, you should just do it and put it out there and help people right now. Because chances are you have a message or an art or music or some life experience that you can share that will help somebody else right now. The fourth lesson I've learned is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that one was really tough for me. I am not good at being uncomfortable. And it was an interesting lesson that I learned actually last summer while I was in the process of writing the book. And what I discovered was I was not very comfortable. And there was lots of reasons that I wasn't comfortable. The first reason was I just didn't have confidence in myself in writing the book and sharing my experiences and the experiences of the people that I've worked with. But the second thing is I just wasn't to a place where I felt comfortable telling people that I had written a book. And when I really started to think about that, I ran into a poem again by Mary Ann Williamson, and I'm going to share that with you later. And that's what got me through to understand that, you know what, I'm going to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because I think that that's my place, and it's part of taking a stand and talking about things that you truly believe in and putting them out there into the world. And I'll share a little bit more about that in just a minute. But the fifth lesson I learned was to be human. And the truth is that each of us have something to offer, and that's part of the human experience. And being willing to be human, be vulnerable, share the happinesses, the successes, and to also share the failures and the oops and all that stuff that goes along with it. Being willing to do that is a very important piece of the learning lessons that I learned from writing my book. So, with my learning lessons, I have a final thought for you and a challenge. So, my final thought actually is a summary of the lessons that I really learned from writing this book. And here it actually is the last two lines of the poem Our Greatest Fear by Mary Ann Williamson. And it says, "And as we let our light shine," we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I think that that could be one of our biggest accomplishments in our life. If we can allow ourselves to get over ourselves, get over our fears of letting our light shine and encouraging other people to do the same. So one of the things that I'd like to do this year with my blog, my vlog, I have to get real used to saying the word, is I would like to challenge you to let your light shine. And the way I would like to do this is I'd love to interview you and share your story of what you're doing that is making a difference, either in your own life, in the lives of your family, your community, the place you work, the school you go to, just anything that you're doing that's making a difference in the world. Because I believe that each of us, if we work together and we share our stories and we share the successes that we have, that we can make our world, our community, our house, our home, a better place. So if you would like to be interviewed and share your story on my vlog, go to my website, sarahandries.com, and there is a link. It says vlog. Click that, and there's just a short application. It asks for your email. Just give me a little bit of a summary of your story that you want to share. I'm not looking for people who want to sell people things. I'm looking for people who are making a difference, no matter how small or how big that difference is. People who are just doing something and they're willing to let their light shine and share their story and let other people have the freedom to do the same because of their example. I look forward to talking to all of you in the near future.